Good evening, brethren, and thank you all for attending this month's webinar on the Life After the Chair will be the topic this evening, presented by myself. I'm Worshipful Brother Gareth John, the Provincial Grand Learning and Development Officer. Thank you all for being here. I do very much appreciate it. So we tend to see in masonry quite often, within 1 to 3 years of passing through the chair, we see a large decline in numbers. It's one of the statistics we found over monitoring numbers over the last few years, that we see a big drop in numbers shortly after passing through the chair. As you can see, this Freemason here running to the exit. Objectives. The objective of this webinar is to help everyone here to have an understanding of the possible routes a brother can take having completed their journey through the chair of King Solomon. What can we do to keep our brethren interested? I mentioned before the start of the recording, I think certainly the vast majority of the people on the call have been through the chair already. So whilst this webinar was originally aimed at those brethren going through the progressive offices, actually we're going to shift it slightly. What can you as past masters do to make sure those brethren who are going through a chair remain engaged after they've been through it? How can we help them? How can we guide them? Or as Chris Bird would say, how can we mentor them? Yeah. Okay, so an overview of the, taking what you guys have said, actually fits in quite nicely to what I had planned. So things that brethren can do having passed through the chair. Lodge offices usually fulfilled by a past master, not always. For example, I've seen secretaries who are master masons in the past. There's no hard and fast rule that says all certain offices have to be filled by past masters.
You've got one in the audience.
There we go. Hi, Nigel. A ritual party piece. I'll call it a party piece. It's quite common for brethren who've been through a chair to learn a longer piece of ritual, isn't it? There's other orders we can look into, and there are provincial teams that you can become involved with. So we'll look at these in a bit more detail as we go through. So lodge offices, these non-progressive offices, I would call them, that can be fulfilled after going through the chair. So we have the chaplain, the treasurer, the secretary or assistant secretary. Yeah. In our lodge, we use assistant secretary actually as a progressive office often. So the senior steward might take on assistant secretary, which is quite nice. Director of ceremonies or assistant director of ceremonies. The almoner, the charity steward, the membership officer, the mentor, and the organist. Organist is a nice one. There's a member of my lodge at Harmony who is just recently started learning the organ and getting the national anthem right, and it's great. Once he gets that right, he'll learn something else, and he's being fully supported by the brethren, with a few jokes here or there, obviously. So, but you mentioned earlier, how do we encourage people to take on these roles? Often, especially in busier lodges, these roles are filled by a past master who's been doing it for 10, 20 years. It's not uncommon, is it, to hear of a secretary of 20 years or a treasurer of 20 years? But succession planning within lodges is key. So having someone in mind who can shadow these roles, as we mentioned earlier. A mentor is there. You don't have to be the lodge mentor to be a mentor. Maybe partner up and buddy with one of the junior members of the lodge and help them in their progression. Help them learn their ritual. That's a really, really worthwhile task to take on. Membership officer. It's not only the membership officer in the lodge. There are schemes within province and further afield that you can become involved with. Sorry, Chris, was your hand up then? Did I see? It
was a thumbs up.
It was a thumbs up. I used your favourite quote, didn't I?
Yeah.
Everybody's a mentor.
Yeah.
So the lodge officers is an obvious one, and it's something we should be encouraging. A healthy team will have the offices filled by people with a range of experiences and a range of ages. If you've got all these roles filled with masons who are in their 70s and 80s, they've been Freemasons for 30, 40, 50 years, they'll keep doing things the same way. Whereas if you can get some younger masons in, it tends to shake things up, get a bit of change, and change can be good. Ritual. This is a fun one for me, not for everybody. Not everyone's a ritualist, so this won't work for everybody. but there's a huge amount of ritual out there that you can learn and make it a party piece. And if you become particularly good, these are some examples. This is by no means an exhaustive list. If you can learn a tracing board, for example, you will have a free meal at least once a week to a lodge if you're available. You know, lodges are always looking for somebody to come and do the tracing boards, aren't they? So I'd highly recommend that if you're on the breadline. The northeast and the southeast corner, they're fun for the first and second degrees, respectively, and especially the southeast, relatively short piece. So if you're not a natural ritualist, it might be a nice one to do. Exhortation and charge, signs and secrets from every degree. These are all really, really nice pieces, really important pieces that really enhance the ceremonies. And I would always encourage younger brethren, once they've been through the chair, to pick a piece. Sorry, Ben, you got your hand up? You're on mute, Ben. You're still on mute, Ben. You're still talking, Ben, but you're still on mute.
Yeah, I'm off mute now. Charge at the first degree. It's a bit like the Grand National. It's that fence that everybody dreads because they know they're either going to survive or come a cropper. I have seen that very long piece broken down into what is called the circle of friendship. And the only time that I've seen that is the Scout Lodge. And it works extremely well. And that is, there are six paragraphs. And rather than let the senior warden do all six, the senior warden does the first and the last. It's on the floor. The candidate is in the middle, and past masters take a paragraph each. And that whole first degree charge rotates around the circle, and starting with the senior warden, ending with the senior warden, and the candidate just turns around and faces the person that's giving that paragraph. It's so much easier to learn rather than the senior warden being absolutely petrified of getting up and doing the first degree. I've seen it read, and I've seen it read badly, and I've seen it given perfectly. I would like to say more perfectly than bad, but it's the other way. So that is one thing that I would look at, is dividing the ritual down even further than it is at the moment.
It's slightly off topic in that we're talking about life out of the chair, but I do agree. Let's make ritual less intimidating and encourage people to.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. Victor, you had your hand up a moment ago. I'll come to you as well, Ed. I saw you had your hand up.
I was going to sort of say the same sort of along the lines of Ben, actually. That we've just done a third, and all the work was done by people over 80, and it's hard to get the younger working people, should we say, to commit to learning long bits. So, like
the best way is to take the pressure off.
Take the pressure
off people. Yeah. And be kind. If they get it wrong, they get it wrong. It's not the end of the world.
But also the elder guys, dare I say it, the elder guys enjoy it, you know. So if they enjoy it, then you're a bit of a.
I'm sure they'll also enjoy watching younger brethren progress and grow and improve.
Yeah.
I personally take a huge amount of enjoyment watching someone join masonry and have no idea, then watching them progress and become more confident and better ritualists. I take a huge amount of pleasure in that, and I'm sure they would as well. Yeah. So that's one way to approach it with them. Ed?
Okay. Yep.
It's probably all been said, but you know, these longer pieces of ritual, I think there's something to be said about. And I know it's all about life after the chair, but what we're talking about here is what can people that have been through the chair continue to add value in. And actually, these longer pieces of ritual, or breaking it up and sharing it, not just as they get them into that kind of rhythm of continuing to learn new ritual, and eventually, who knows, you do a couple of paragraphs of a tracing board, you might add a third and a fourth and a fifth, and eventually you can do the whole piece by yourself. But equally, it's about showing that you're there supporting your lodge. You might go to other lodges then as a group and visit as a group of brethren from a lodge and do that same piece between 4 or 5 of you or something like that. So it is about. I get what we started. You see what in terms of after the chair, but there's something about after the chair, what kind of things can I do that are going to expand my reach in Freemasonry, support my own lodge and potentially others as well.
No, I agree, and I do think there is a huge amount of benefit into breaking the ritual down. It's again, it's slightly, it's on topic, but another thing that we've started doing is getting younger brethren to read a nugget from Solomon, which is proven really, really positive. It gives them something to do, so they're not just sat there after a long day at work in a warm room dozing off. You know, it gives them a reason to stay awake. Gets them used to talking in front of people, which I think is a great skill to have, and not everyone's got it. But they're getting used to that talking in front of people by reading rather than having to memorize rituals. So it takes away those nerves a little bit, or at least halves the nerves, doesn't it? I think part of ritual, the nervousness is half doing it in front of people and half learning it. By reading these Solomon nuggets, you're halving that pressure. Okay, that's enough on ritual. We've also got other orders. Now there are a whole plethora of orders, side degrees, progressive degrees, orders beyond the chair, orders beyond the craft. Sorry, I've actually got a book here called Orders Beyond the Craft, which is called Beyond the Craft, which is really interesting. And which degrees people choose to go into is very, very much a personal thing. You're also kind of guided by your proposer, aren't you, or other brethren in your lodge. But I would encourage brethren to consider, if they are going to join a side degree, to consider Royal Archmasonry first. That is the completion of pure and ancient Freemasonry. That completes your journey in pure and ancient Freemasonry. And that's not to say the other degrees don't have an extraordinary amount of value, because they all do. I like the way I explain it, and I'm not in many side degrees. The way it's been explained to me is that there are the different periods of the Bible, several of these degrees, and you get the odd ones that are many periods and others that are not so much. But broadly speaking, you're talking about different books of the Bible. And Royal Archmasonry just concludes that journey through your 3 degrees. Royal Archmasonry. So I've put a dedicated slide to Royal Archmasonry just to reiterate what I said a moment ago. This is considered the completion of the journey in pure and ancient Freemasonry. I would encourage as many people as feel able to do to join. And we do have a webinar coming up very soon on the 30th of September. So September's webinar will be presented by excellent companion Conrad Donaldson. The same worshipful brother Conrad Donaldson who delivered the talk on the history of Freemasonry. Was it last month or the month before? I think he'll be doing it on. It's an introduction to Royal Arch, and aimed specifically at those brethren who are looking to join, or as Ed will have joined recently at that time as well. And don't forget, each lodge has a Royal Arch rep who can guide you, give you some guidance here or there. Or you can email myself, the Provincial mentor, Chris Bird. He's also the mentor for Royal Arch. Just drop us a line. Our email addresses are a bit later. If you cast your mind back, one of the other things I mentioned you can do is joining a provincial team. So if you want to do something related to Masonry that isn't pure, in lodge, there are several initiatives. We have the membership team headed up by worshipful brother Brendan Brookshaw, the Provincial Grand Membership Officer. He's always looking for help all over the province to help with his recruitment activities. I am always looking for people for the learning and development team. We have a lot of schemes coming up, and I'm going to go on to them in a little bit in a moment. Always looking for support. If anyone's interested in getting involved in learning and development, please do reach out, as Ben did recently with a fantastic idea. Mentoring. Chris has also said you don't need to be a lodge mentor to join the provincial mentoring team. There are so many ways you can help. And I'm sure Chris would agree, this would extend to the almoner. Provincial Grand Almoner will always appreciate a strong team, a strong network to help. The charity steward. The list goes on. We also have the Armed Forces Committee, which is being headed up by worshipful brother Olga Hamilton of Western District Lodge. I spoke to him on the phone earlier. He's looking for support. This one's being run slightly differently in that he's more of a coordinator. If you have an idea, he said, give him a call, let him know, but you run with it and just let him know you're doing it. He's quite relaxed in his approach to the Armed Forces Committee. It's actually something that's come down from Grand Lodge. You know, it's been recognised that those 4 military personnel will probably appreciate masonry in terms of that camaraderie we have in Freemasonry, that mess style atmosphere we have at the festive board. There's a lot of synergy between the armed forces and Freemasonry. And we also have, keep an eye on your email addresses, on your email inbox, sorry. We have lots of events that often need supporting. The Tour de Moor was a cycle race around Dartmoor, happened last year, where we were looking for marshals to help support that. Men's Day Out in Plymouth was another one. I mean, that was a perfect excuse to go out for the day, have a couple of drinks, help inform people about Freemasonry, and hopefully build our numbers. So if there's anything that particularly interests you, reach out to the relevant departmental head, if that's the right term, or drop me a line and I can put you in touch with them. So like I said about the various teams you can join, I mentioned the learning and development team. So I just want to, coming towards the end now, I would like to run through learning and development, because I don't think everyone's fully aware of what we're doing and what we can do. So at the moment, we're a fairly new team. We have the learning and development WhatsApp channel. For those who don't know the difference between a WhatsApp channel and a WhatsApp group, a channel is a one-way communication system. So you'll receive messages from the admin, and it's small nuggets of Masonic information, perfect for junior members as well as senior. And we'll post in there any upcoming events, learning and development events. But like I say, it's a one-way communication system, so you don't have your phone pinging constantly with people responding to those messages. It's 1 or 2 messages a week at most. So it's a really great way to carry out, you know, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Make a daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. It's a really simple way to do it. We have the webinars that you're all aware of because you're here. In lodge presentations, so happy to come along. Myself or a member of the team will come along and deliver a tracing board, for example, with a question and answer session, which has proved really, really popular. It's quite an engaging format where everyone gets involved. Or if there's any other presentations that you'd like, let us know and we'll see what we can provide. But also support for ritual. There's a big push here in membership, and some of the smaller lodges, in their efforts to recruit, where the numbers have dropped, they don't necessarily have people within their lodge to deliver all of the ceremonies. If as a lodge you're struggling to deliver a ceremony for any reason, drop me a line and we'll try and find people to backfill those pieces of ritual for you. That's what we're doing. So what do we want to do? What we're planning? We have Mason's Table events coming up. The eagle-eyed amongst you may remember that one happened last year. It was our pilot. It went very well. We have a team of 3 looking after those now. We're looking to restart those in May, and they'll be traveling around the province giving presentations. So keep an eye out for those. They're in-person events. Ben's on the call. He'll be looking after neurodiversity in Freemasonry. So how can we support people who are neurodivergent or neurodiverse? It's no one size fits all. There's a huge range of, it's not different abilities, actually. It's probably a good way to put it. But also we're looking at setting up a continuous professional development scheme as well, where we can provide more work-based knowledge, more generic work-based knowledge, management skills, behavioral management, etc. That's a long-term plan, which we will need support for. So what do we need as a team? We need volunteers. If you are an enthusiastic Mason who wants to help, or you're a professional of any description who's willing to give some time to give a talk about their chosen profession or occupation, then please drop me a line and we'll start putting the CPD school together. There's another QR code for you. That if you're not a member of the WhatsApp channel that I mentioned earlier, if you scan that QR code, that will sign you up. This is run by Worship Brother Darren MacDonald of Brunswick Lodge. in Plymouth. And he does a fantastic job. And webinars. Next month's is promises to be very interesting. 29th of May. It'll be entitled Checkmate Brother, Masonic Symbolism in Chess. And that will be delivered by Brendan Brookshaw, the Provincial Grand Membership Officer. For those of you who haven't seen Brendan talk before, you've probably heard him from a distance. He is a wonderful orator. I really enjoy listening to him talk. A very intelligent man. And it's a piece of work he's pulled together himself, so I'm quite looking forward to that. In June, we'll be having Chris Bird, our mentor, back again to talk about building together, the latest initiative from Grand Lodge on how we improve membership, not just as a craft, but as a craft and as Royal Arch. Hence, building together. And we're going to have a break for July and August. Our wonderful Steve Veal, who organises these events, is currently stuck on a plane on the way back from Ascension, hence why he's not here this evening. But he needs a break. He is being supported now, but we need more people on the team. But like I said earlier, in September, we'll have a talk from Conrad Donaldson again, this time on introductions to the Royal Arch, which will prove to be, if it's half as good as his previous one on the origins of Freemasonry, we're in for a treat. We'll end it there. Thank you all for attending. I really, really do appreciate your support. And if you have any ideas for more webinars, please drop me a line privately. Or if you'd like to present one, if anything you think you'd like to present, let me know and we'll get it booked in. Thanks again, everyone, and take care.